Hey, welcome back to the Dad Challenge Podcast. My name is Josh. I completely forgot to talk about the Myka video in the last video. It just got too long. And so real quick, we're going to get into it because it's going to be a long one. We're going to get into my reaction to Myka Stauffer's Draw My Life story. And so we're going to hear that together. I'm going to get on here and turn it up for you. And it's going to get crazy. I'm interested to hear what her story is like. And we'll go through it.
I'm going to be bringing to you Draw My Life.
So I think I downloaded this. This is still on her channel as we speak today, as of July 20th. And I'm pretty sure she's edited a ton out of this already. So you can tell, you can edit on YouTube. And so you see these crazy cuts, something she probably wouldn't do pre-production, but she definitely did it here for sure. So let's get into it.
Just maybe giving you an opportunity to get to know me a little bit better. During this story, I'm really going to divulge and tell a lot of things about myself that are very incredibly personal. If I were to meet a new friend, I definitely wouldn't mention these things to them. So be kind and respectable.
I mean, what do you have to tell us that we're not going to be kind and respectable? Something tells me we're about to get some juice.
Probably my biggest request. I've debated so much about doing this. Should I do it? Should I not do it? And there's so many times I'm like, I'm not doing it, no. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it.
Thanks.
I think this will be good just to kind of talk about everything, and I'm comfortable and I'm ready. I have a couple notes like jotted down just so I don't hit in anything that's really big or pivotal, but I think I'm pretty much ready to go.
You know when you don't like somebody, every body movement they make, every voice thing they make, you're like, I don't like it. And that's kind of what's happening here. I just... $45,000 diamond ring. I'm ready. I think I'm ready. Chill.
If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and let's start talking about
Don't subscribe.
my life. Alright, I was born on June 2nd, 1987. My mom and grandma were present for my birth, and
here's the thing, I'm like psychology getting into it with you guys. She talks like she's literally my 7-year-old daughter. She looks and talks like she's a child. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but what this screams to me is like super immaturity, right? Like, and I'm like, my birth, she's putting it on here. You guys know that she got that Myka baby voice, right? This is her Myka baby voice, and this is her fake persona. This is not who she really is, and she's trying to put light to her probably bad childhood situation. I imagine we're gonna get into, but right there, it just tells me that if you can't even speak like a normal human being, like that's an adult, you're too immature to adopt a kid from China and bring him here and figure it out. That's already what I'm taking from this video. And I'm just, it grates me listening to this lady's voice.
I was a really ornery little kiddo. My mom had me when she was 16, so I got to experience some things that my other friends didn't get experience.
Didn't get it. One thing that bothers me, but she always says instead of saying didn't get to, she goes didn't get it. And unless that's some kind of like Ohio thing, didn't get it. I've never heard this from anybody else. Didn't get it. And again, it just goes back to the whole read a book or something, please.
To go to some really cool parties. I got to go to like a bunch of concerts.
Oh.
I got to do like some really fun things.
Basically, your mom was a teen mom, and she just basically was really young, and so she'd let you do whatever you wanted when you were young, which probably got you into a lot of the positions that you were in. No judgment there, but just saying, being raised by a mom like that, myself, I kind of get it. I understand that you were allowed to do a lot of things other people weren't allowed to do, and it made you who you are, actually. It made you very narcissistic.
Kind of a perk of having some younger parents.
Some younger parents. How many younger parents did you have?
I had a lot of really close friends when I was younger. I would always be over at their house doing sleepovers, pretending to be Spice Girls. I played tons of different sports. I played volleyball, I played lacrosse, I played soccer. I'm pretty sure that was most of the sports that I played. So I was either at sporting events, spending time with my grandparents, or at my friend's house. So I had a pretty basic...
Yeah, so basically everybody else on Earth did. Okay, thanks. Next.
Regular childhood, and I loved everything about it. And I had some really awesome parents that I'm super gracious for. However, when I turned 16, my world was flipped upside down a little bit. I used to watch...
Can we say that flipped upside down a little bit is not actually proper? If you were flipped upside down, you're upside down. Being flipped upside down a little bit, you're not flipped upside down. It's science.
Adoption shows on TLC and birth shows, I think is what it's called, Birth Story on TLC. And I just remember watching and like getting so excited and looking at all the pictures of the birth. And I remember I went to go look at my birth pictures, and I kept seeing pictures of my grandma and my mom holding me, and I was just like, that's really funny. Where's my dad in any of these pictures?
Her body language screams like it's just so closed off the way she does everything. She just, when she starts talking about things that are uncomfortable to her that she doesn't want to really reveal to everybody, she knew this video was going to get some massive hits. This is over 700,000 hits, by the way. And so she could tell she's not wanting to talk about half this stuff, and she's closed the way her body looks. It's crazy.
Weird. So one day we were sitting down for dinner, and I just brought it up to my mom, and I was like, my dad was sitting there, my mom was sitting there, and I was like, hey, how come, like, I know it's a weird question, but, like, how come my dad's not in any of the pictures when I was born? And my mom, like, everyone immediately stopped what they were doing. Remind you, I was 16 at the time, like, the most hormonal age humanly possible.
No, I have a 13-year-old. That's incorrect.
And everyone stopped what they were doing and kind of looked at me, and my mom's like, we can talk about this later. And I was like, wait, what? There's something to talk about? What do you mean? Wait, what? Like, it was a really big, shocking moment, because my whole world has always been this, like, mom, like, I had always had this situation where I kind of had this white picket fence family, and that's everything that I had always known. And then I find out that there's a secret that's beknownst to myself.
Beknownst? There's a new t-shirt coming. Sorry, Emily 81. New t-shirt.
And it involves me greatly. So I immediately excuse myself from the table and go upstairs, and my mom follows me shortly after. And she sits down with me and tells me that my dad is not my biological father. And at first I am hysterical, I'm upset, I'm emotional,
I can't believe I'm going to come to the defense of Myka Stauffer right here. What kind of mother doesn't tell, at that point, 16-year-old, that the father she knew her whole life is not her real dad? What? That's crazy. Wow.
There's so many emotions, because no one had ever alluded to that, so I never would have thought anything different. Like, I had no clue, no idea. So it was like the biggest bomb had been dropped on me, and it was really hard to process, like incredibly hard. So we're sitting there, and I'm like, okay, well, explain it to me. And she said, when I found out I was pregnant, your dad didn't want anything to do with that. He just wasn't interested in being in part of that picture. So I'm all shook up, I'm really emotional, and I'm really upset, and I told her, okay, well...
A told-so. You guys ever seen the Trailer Park Boys? I hate to say a told-so, but a effing a told-so.
Not the kind of person to say a told-so, but you know what? A told-so.
What's my dad's name? I'd love to meet him, She looked at me and she told me, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be able to meet him. And I said, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And she said, I'm really sorry, but your dad committed suicide last year. And
look, I know this is a super sad story, and she is digging deep to, like, pull the emotion out of this. You could tell she's trying to find it, and she's doing this for YouTube. I'm calling it here. I know this is going to make me sound super mean, but I can see exactly what she's doing here. This is the narcissistic tendency here to be like, hear my heart story, and I'm trying to pull, and look at her pull the emotion here.
That was really hard for me. That was like, first of all, I just found out that my dad, I have two dads, and my real dad's, like, not my birth dad. And then I find out immediately after that my dad committed suicide. So, I am flooded with emotion, and I have no idea how to express it. I am just like, I felt like we couldn't relate. They had both their mom and their dad, and they had this situation that was looked so perfect, and that's all that I had known. So
Okay, let me stop you there. If you had a dad in your life that was your dad, even if it was your biological dad, that dad is the dad who stepped up. The other guy is just a sperm donor. Okay, so let's not get it twisted here. It sounds like she's about to it sounds like she's diminishing what her actual dad had done in her life up to this point. I get why she's confused. I get why it hurts for sure. But it sounds like she's like, I couldn't talk to them because they had dads. You had a dad here. Like, I don't have a dad. You have a dad here. You have someone who's loved you and raised you and is, for all intents and purposes, is your father. Again. So what are you trying to achieve here by saying this?
You know what? Screw it. That's kind of how I started to think, like, screw it. I don't care.
She cut something out here. We're missing something. She cut something hard. Okay. She went from that to just screw it.
I don't care. I'm so upset. I don't know who I am anymore. My sense of identity has kind of been ripped from me, and you just told me so many hard things at once. So the first thing that I did is the next day, I actually lost my virginity. And
What? That's what you did? This is some juicy tea, yo.
I had planned for so long to save myself for marriage. It was not even a question in my mind. I knew that I was going to do that. And when my identity was flipped upside down, I literally just, everything went out the window. And I lost my virginity that night with somebody that I had a crush on, and we had spoken prior and blah, blah, blah. But regardless, that's probably one of my biggest regrets.
You think? I'm actually a guy who waited for marriage, which is, not a lot of people do that. But her response, okay, I gotta dissect this somehow. Her response to hearing this bad news was, I'm going to get laid. I'm not a psychologist. I would love to find out what this means. Like, not in a bad way or whatever, a creepy, gross way, but like, why was that her response to receiving bad news? That is really I'm not negatively. What the heck is going through it? And I'm not a 16-year-old girl who's learned some stuff, but I have gone through some trauma. She clearly that was traumatizing for her. But her first initial reaction is to go out and find a guy she had a crush on and do it.
So my parents ended up finding out that I snuck out of their house, and they assumed and kind of realized that we had hooked up. He was one of the more popular guys in school, and
why are you doing hooked up quotes? You did the dirty, girl.
They just knew. So I got grounded for an entire year. I wasn't allowed to go out with my friends. I wasn't allowed to go to dances. I wasn't allowed to do anything but stay in the house.
Okay, again, I'm going to come to her defense, which is like, I don't know how I feel about this. Her mom has failed her more than once, by the way. And I sort of get it. Teen moms have a bigger struggle. I know what a teen mom struggles with, okay? My sister had her first child on her 16th birthday. I know what it's like in a family when this happens. I'm not saying I've experienced it as a person who's had a child on the 16th birthday, but what she's doing here is really weird. But her mom has failed her. Her mom did not tell her about her real father. I mean, I guess it just depends, and you're feeling at the right time, but do you think she ever would have told her if she never would have asked? So she's failed her there. She's gone out, she's found this out, and she decides to go get laid instead. And I think that's probably her big payback to her mom, to say, well, screw this, my whole life is done, nothing means anything anymore, you're all lying to me, I'm going to go do this thing that you probably don't want me to do. Then her mom grounds her for an entire year, which is crazy. Okay, Ruby Frank, are you hearing this? Don't ground your kid for a year, okay? If your kid went out and had sex because they were exploring their body and doing all this stuff, look, I would love my kids to wait for marriage, because it was very special for me to do that, and my wife did the same thing. And it was incredibly smart for us I think a lot of people to do that. Not just for, it might sound bad in this world of whatever, but that to me screams her mom, and this is the type of mom that she'll turn out to be, right? When things don't go her way, she freaks out. When things aren't as expected, or the kids don't do what she expected them to do, or be who they expected them to be, or be who she expected them to be, things like rehoming an adopted son happen. So some of this is going to be laid on her mom as a parent for sure.
I wasn't even allowed to watch TV for a long period of that time. But I'm really glad that my parents did that for me, because it allowed me to really give myself a lot of self-evaluation. I was so livid for so long. I blew out my 16th birthday candles by myself because I was grounded. They were furious with me. And like I
Let's go. Okay. As a parent and a parenting podcast, we're going to cover this in the future because this is giving me an idea. If your kid is having sex or has done this against your will, why is your reaction to like hate them for a year? Look, again, as a parent who did wait and would love my kids to wait, if they did this, I would, first of all, I would have a conversation with them and say, let's talk about being safe and all that stuff first. And so I don't know. This screams like we're starting to see exactly why she is who she is today through this story. This is a very, very interesting story and psychology behind Myka Stauffer.
It was probably a really good decision that they locked me down like that, because it gave me a lot of time to like be in my room and like just do some soul searching and really stop and think and do some self-evaluation and be able to reevaluate everything that I'm
you evaluated stuff. Cool.
During that year, I started to get really close to the Lord. I started
here we go.
Bible books. I started
Let's do it.
Praying. I told my dad as soon as I'm done being grounded.
This is what happened now. I'm starting to put this puzzle pieces together. Her parents are Christian, religious, very religious, probably go to fundamentalist church. And so the expectation was put on her for purity. And so for her going out to have sex with some dude, some just random rando, that was her way of telling her parents to F off. That was the most sacred thing her parents probably held, which is so stupid. Purity is great if you want that for your kids, but it's your kid's choice, their body, their consent to make when they're legally allowed to do that. Parents putting these unreal expectations on their kids for purity and purity balls and purity rings and all that stuff, and I subscribe to it. I was there for it when I was a teenager. And it's basically, I was scared to have sex, and I waited till I was married because I was scared. That's what kind of church does to you. So it's starting to come together that she did all that to like get back at her mom.
I want to become Catholic. I want to get baptized, and I want to get closer to the Lord. I want to attend church regularly. And it was almost like a pivotal moment for me. It has a lot of opportunity for self-growth and really just finding a better outlet for frustration and for anger. As soon as I was done with my 1 year of being grounded, I started just surrounding myself by the Lord. I started attending Sunday schools. I started going to Bible studies.
There's no Sunday school for 16, 17-year-old girls.
Bible studies that I could possibly attend, whether it's a Wednesday, a Tuesday, or a Thursday, I would go to it. I would listen. I would pray. I would just immerse myself in everything that I could, because when I was there, I felt better about everything that I had learned. I felt like I was getting, like, healing all the hurt inside of me. So it was a really nice place for me to be that it really helped. It helped me a ton.
I actually agree with her here in this point. That church can be a place of healing, and they have lots of programs, and there's a place for you to focus She's right about that. I can't believe that half this video is me supporting her. Okay.
So that's kind of when I had the opportunity to kind of learn a little bit more about myself and get closer to the Lord. So I became Catholic. Like I said, I started praying regularly, and I was a totally different person in the best way humanly possible. I was really proud of the transformation. My parents were proud. I remember the day that I became Catholic. I remember seeing my dad cry for the...
Okay. I just want to clarify something here as a pastor, ex-pastor. You don't become Catholic. What she's trying to say here is maybe she became a believer or a Christian or someone who believed in Jesus. To become a Catholic really doesn't really mean anything. You may get catechism, you might get confirmed or whatever. But to become a Catholic, yeah, that bugs me. It screams that she doesn't actually understand, or she's not telling the truth about what actually happened.
First time ever. Like, everyone was really proud because I was this ornery, stubborn teenager that's hooking up with the most popular senior at school, and then...
It was probably... His name was Chad, for sure. It was totally Chad.
I had this opportunity to...
If it was Chad and you're watching this video, reach out to me, please.
Really transform and turn around my situation.
I just want to say again, why do you say the words... And I was this ornery girl who hooked up with the most popular guy in high school. Like, why is that a thing you're saying there? That's literally irrelevant to this entire story. That's narcissism.
So, that was something I was really incredibly proud of. Then I got into one of my first serious relationships. We had been on and off for a long time. We were high school sweethearts, and we were certain that we were going to end up getting married. However, we went to separate colleges, and for the first 6 months of college, it got really hard.
Watch the hair. The hair says a lot.
Ended up parting ways and pretty much saying, you know, you are a really good friend and we really care about each other and really love each other, but we're going to have to separate and go separate ways. We literally thought we would have ended up married together. We promised each other. It was one of those situations where that was your first true love. Do you know what I mean? And we knew it just wasn't working. There was a lot going on. So we ended up separating ways, and I just entered into college, which was a really cool, enlightening experience.
We know what she's saying here, right? I went to Bible college, so I didn't get an enlightening experience. We weren't even allowed in the girls' dorms. People had to go to the woods to have sex at Bible college, and everybody knew about it. So she gets to college, he gets to his college. They're like, we really should have gone together, or because I need to go get laid at my own school. That's what she's saying here. She's like, it's going to be this moment of her life because she just became a Catholic and she's now perfect, an angel, but now she's in college and
I love everything about college. It was a great time for me. So after
she cuts it. It's a great time for me, and I ran out of batteries.
me and my high school sweetheart broke up, college kind of began. Everything unfolded.
She just said that.
It wasn't really about
Something, she edited something crazy out here.
Self-growth. And I started volunteering like no one's business. I did Big Brothers Big Sisters. I did Best Buddies, which is a Down syndrome organization. I did so much volunteering. I worked at different communities, different fundraisers. I couldn't be volunteered in enough things.
Let me tell you about all the things that I've done that make me a better person than you. I could not have done more for other people. It was not possible. Can you guys please? Really? You didn't have to say this. I don't know how this is pertinent to your story.
Down to help out with Hurricane Katrina. So anytime there was like a missions trip that I could go on with my church or my Bible study people, I was sure to attend those events. And it was something that just really helped me get closer to the Lord, and it just helped me give back to the community in a way that I felt was really positive and, you know, was something that I really genuinely got a lot of fulfillment and enjoyment from. And then college got a little bit deeper. I started nursing school, and it was hard. It was really hard.
I'll give her that. My wife's in nursing school, and when nursing school is full-fledged, don't come around when studying's happening. You will get cut in this house. If you interrupt my wife's studying or exam taking, you straight gonna get cut in your face. Like there will be scars. She's right. Nursing is probably, as I see my wife, who's very smart, who gets like straight A's, she's struggling with nursing. It's hard. So she's right here.
I took so much time and energy. I lived at the library. I was there.
A library. Please.
All of the time. I lived at the library. I lived at the bookstore. I was there all of the time. I remember calling my mom in college, and my parents had actually just moved to Japan. Right before I left for college, my parents told me, we're moving to Japan for 3
Hey, enjoy college. But I forgot to tell you. That's just, don't worry about it. Not a big deal. We're literally moving to Japan. Bye. Oh my gosh.
years.
Her mother is a failure.
Transitioning into going to college, and my parents are completely gone for 3 years, and they have a different time zone, so I was unable to call them when I would typically want to call them. So I had to call them early in the morning, and they were just about to go to bed. Anyways, I remember calling my mom and saying, you know what, Mom? I can just see myself meeting my future husband at a bookstore. That would be a dream come true. We can relish in books and read stories together and just relax and indulge upon different books.
She doesn't read books. Listen to how she speaks, people. She's not reading books.
Enjoy, and I told her that, and she's like, you're so silly. But she said, you know, that probably would be a good fit for you. And it's so funny because my parents are teen parents, and they love to go to parties, and they love to have that more wild lifestyle. Not that that's a bad thing. And I was this girl that I had turned into somebody totally different. I love to be at the library and read books.
Nah. No.
And pray regularly. It was just, we were polar opposites. So many people had said to me, there's no way that she's your daughter, that you don't even.
How are you polar opposites? Okay, you said your mom had you when she was 16. When you were 16, you literally hate screwed a guy from high school. You're not that different. Trust me.
Like that, it's not even the same relationship, but we were awesome. Anyways, I told her that, and that is very pivotal information that will come up in the future. But I've been studying super hard for nursing school, and it was hard. I literally lived at my professor's office hours, like every single time after class. I remember for my first semester in college, I got a 4.0, and I was so proud of myself. Like, I was so proud.
I was so smart.
But nursing school would get deeper and deeper. The semesters would get harder and harder, and I did really, really well. I busted my butt. I lived at my professor's doorstep, like I said. During office hours, I would go to...
Okay, nursing school doesn't have like one professor. And they're not... There's something where... I don't want to just... Yeah.
Every single office hour, I'd be like, please explain this to me. I don't understand it. Please, I need to comprehend this for the final. So I was there quite a bit, but it really paid off, and I'm so gracious for all the professors that had divulged so much time and energy. They were...
Hope so. You probably paid $50,000 a year to go there.
Every single penny, because they spent way more time with me than they should have. But it was an amazing experience, and I really love college for all of the learning that has come from it. Anyways, I'm getting close towards my senior year of college, and I'm studying for this exam. I think it's like midway into my last semester at college in nursing school. And I remember studying for finals. I'm sitting there in my sweats in my backward baseball cap at the medical library, and I'm going through flashcards like crazy. And me and my friend is a gentleman that...
My friend and
I studied with regularly.
You don't read books.
He was sitting beside me, and he went over to go to the bathroom. And Kova's dad came up to me, and he's like, hey, is that guy you're with, is he your boyfriend? I'm like, no.
No, he's just a friend. That guy got friend zoned into oblivion. We're reaching levels of friend zone that shouldn't even be possible.
No, he's just a friend. And he goes, oh, okay.
Because Kova's dad was way hotter than him.
Like, you dropped this. He said, it says, you are absolutely gorgeous. Please call me.
Be honest in the comments below. If a dude came up to you and did that this day and age, creepy, not creepy, inappropriate, appropriate, cool, beans, no? I don't know. I would never do that. Nah. That seems like a gross guy.
And I wasn't quite sure. I was like, I don't know. Like, he's not the typical type that I would go for. But it was really sweet. So I gave it a couple days. I thought about it. I prayed about it. And I went to church the next day. And I kind of like just prayed about it. And I said, you know...
Dear Lord, this creepy guy came up to me in the library and told me how hot I was with a note. He's not my type. What do you think? Amen.
Is this something that I should do? Is this something that I should pursue? And his name, they mentioned his name in the scripture, and they said something about don't fear this person's name, or I am guiding you. It was a message that was very blatantly obvious. So I was like, wow.
If it was such a message from God, where's Kova's dad now?
Oh, that's a really clear message. So I called him the next day. And we went back to the library, and we kind of just...
Library.
We were just cracking each other up. We were making each other laugh like crazy, and we were really connecting in a good way. Mm-hmm. And he was studying for his finals as well. So instead of like doing a traditional study style, we're like, hey, let's go over to this other study platform. It was like off of the bookstore, and we were like, let's study over there. And we got a couple of our friends that we had met there, and we had this like little study party, and we were up till 4 a.m. every single night for the last week of that semester. And we would study, and then in between study breaks we would dance and laugh, and we just had a really good time. It was really, really fun. And yes, that was Kova's dad. And so we dated, we started dating, we started getting more serious, we started getting to know each other and having a lot more fun, going on relationships, meeting each other's parents, and we really liked each other. So we've been dating maybe, I want to say, maybe 4 or 5 months. It wasn't a terribly long time. And we looked at each other and we decided that we wanted to make a baby. I know this completely goes against like all of my religious, you know what I mean? This completely goes against Christianity, and
which right here proves she had no idea what she was doing. It was a surface level thing. She didn't actually do it. She did it to make herself feel better for the bad things she perceived she did. So a real faith, I'm not saying people don't make mistakes on real faith or whatever, but she just basically said right here, yeah, I know it was all bad and all that, but this was the next thing. This is such crazy narcissism. It's mind blowing to me, and this is why it's so important to watch this, because it's like that was the thing. Now this is the thing. That didn't really work out. So, you know, the God thing didn't really work out. But this is Kova's dad. This is the new thing. H came in. That was the thing to do. Oh, but then it didn't really work out. So this is the new thing. We're going to rehome him. Look at the behaviors that we're seeing from like all the things that she built up to. It's just all one thing just knocks the other thing out of the way. It's like, oh, that's move out of the way, new thing coming through because that's just new. This is the type of person that has bad impulse control or no impulse control.
Everything that I stand for, but it was just something that we thought about, and
How's that conversation go in college? Hey, we're in college. We're not done yet. Let's have a baby. What? What?
we're like, let's do it. So we made a baby. That was literally that simple. That night we got pregnant, and the next couple weeks a pregnancy test, and I was pregnant. We were really excited. We went and called everybody. His mom was not so happy. She was like, what are you doing?
She's like, with her? Really? You guys ever seen Arrested Development? Anne? They called her Egg. Anne? Really? Yeah? This is what you're doing? Okay, wait.
Girlfriend.
Her?
Do you not like her?
I don't know her. You know, it's like you spend all your time with her. It's like you're hogging her.
I love you anyway, but you sure?
You're not even married. You know what I mean? Which I get it. I get it completely.
No, you don't.
And we're telling everyone, and a lot of people, like, they're not as excited as us. They don't get the excitement. They're like, oh, cool. But we're still, like, super excited. I remember, like, running out to the store, and
I'm about to give her kudos. I'm sorry. But you planned it, so cool. People can shove it up their arse if they don't like your what you want to do. But something tells me maybe she's not telling the truth here.
getting, like,
Because that would look bad for her fans and her perfect white image like this screen that we're looking at right now. It's literally so overblown. It bothers me as a producer and a director and editor of video. It's so bad, the light in this room.
a basket, and I told him, I said, every single week we're gonna fill the basket with some more stuff for the baby. So we went out and we went shopping, and we bought tons of gender neutral stuff because we weren't sure of the gender right away, and we stuffed it into the basket, and we were just like getting so excited. We would like hold up the clothes like, no way. We were pumped. We were really genuinely excited. We were going to our very first doctor's appointment, and we were so excited. Like, we were so excited to hear the heartbeat and get some pictures of the baby. He was in the medical profession, and I was in the medical profession, so we kind of knew what to expect, and we were just really looking forward to everything. So we were done with the doctor's visit, and it went really good, and we were going into the ultrasound room, and we were just so excited. Like, I cannot explain. Like, Christmas morning as a child doesn't describe how excited I was to walk into that ultrasound room. And so we get there, and you have to like take off your pants because I'm only like 8-9 weeks or something. I might have been 9 weeks at that point. And they wanted to do an intravaginal ultrasound just to kind of check to see how everything's going, and then we could do like a tummy ultrasound afterwards. Anyways.
Do you really need to tell us that they had to do an intravaginal? I guess if you're okay, sure.
We go ahead.
Can you just tell people we did an ultrasound?
And we start the ultrasound, and we're looking around, and she's like, so when's your due date? And so we kind of tell her our due date, and she's like, there's just one in there. And we're like, good. And we could hear the heartbeat, and we were really, really excited. And she goes, and she starts taking pictures like crazy. Like, she probably took 100 pictures. And we're just like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get so many pictures. Like, literally, this is how excited we were. Like, that cheesy. We're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get so many pictures to go home with. And we were just so pumped. And She said,
Oh my
she
gosh.
stood up and she didn't say anything else to her. She stood up and she goes, "There's something goofy, and I need to go speak with the physician."
I need to go. Stop it.
So to see him break down and start crying every single night, I remember him looking me in the eye, "Please, please let me be a father again." Like, we knew it wasn't probably a healthy decision to just make another kid right away, just because we knew that we hadn't healed from the terrible loss we just experienced. But we, like I said, he looked at me and he was like, "Please, please." And we...
Hear what she's saying here. We knew this was a really bad choice that we were about to make, but we went ahead and did it anyway. What else does that sound like to you? The doctors told us that it's not going to be what you think with H, but we went ahead and did it anyway.
I said, "You know what? Yes, yeah, let's do it." So I think it was Thanksgiving. No. It might have been Thanksgiving when we conceived Koba. And on Christmas Day, I got to take the pregnancy test, and I was pregnant. And I was so excited. Like, I was excited and scared. So it wasn't quite as excited as the first time, but I was excited for the potential idea and everything that could come with it. So I had a good pregnancy. I was incredibly nervous. I was considered high risk since the last pregnancy. And I just remember with every single ultrasound and every single thing, is there a skull? I was just overly paranoid. I was still so scared, and my heart was still so vulnerable. I remember the first time we went into the ultrasound, like, we had a pretty good pregnancy. We still had like some bickering here and there, just because, like I said, we still had a really hot...
She's glossing it over. We made really bad decisions and we fought a lot, is what she's saying here. Some bickering. Sorry. These types of personalities, people who don't have impulse control, are like, hey, this is one of the worst decisions we could probably make in our life. Let's try this again. This is the type of person that these narcissistic people get together with.
Healing that we never properly did, and we both know that. So it wasn't perfect, but we enjoyed each other. We had a pretty good pregnancy. We were always laughing. And then Koba was born. It was amazing. I loved everything about being a mom. We lived in a really small little condo, and Koba was there, and it was just, I stayed home.
Was she there with you? She was there? You birthed her? She was with you? Cool. Just thanks for clarifying. This is like the most boring story ever.
With her for the first 9 months of her life. I was a stay-at-home mama while I was studying for my nursing boards. And it was amazing. Like, she was such a good little girl.
Something tells me here, she goes to school. She studies to become a nurse. And before she even gets out to do it, she's like, I definitely want to meet a guy and have a kid so I don't have to work anymore. There's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom or anything, but you just wasted 4 years at university to go and look. It looks to me, and I'm totally judging here, that you were looking for like the easiest route out. And people had said this guy's a doctor. He's not a doctor, so it wasn't that either. So that's kind of what I'm picking up here. I'm probably wrong about it.
And I loved everything about motherhood. It brought so much joy to me, and it really helped heal all of the pain that I had gone through. It was so uplifting, and I never realized how much I loved being a mama.
I'm so bored right now.
I loved every minute.
Did you love being a mama? Thank you. Please, next topic.
Ever.
Oh my God.
And then we were still dating, we were still engaged. We never ended up getting married. We had booked a wedding date, and I ended up calling it off. We had some on and off issues, little bickering here and there, and we just weren't meeting.
Okay, stop underplaying the issues here, because if you're trying to be honest with people, well, I called off the wedding because we bickered. Is that true? Or did you call off the wedding because you guys literally fought and like it was bad? And be honest, stop underplaying real events, because people are watching you and watching for this and saying, you bickered, so you called off your wedding because you bickered? My God, I bicker with my wife every day. Like today, we bickered. Like it's every day. If I divorced my wife every time we bickered, we would have been divorced before we got married. Just saying, stop underplaying the truth. That's a problem.
Eye to eye at the end of the day. I don't want to speak ill about Kova's father. He's a great guy, and this is not a place to bash him. But together, we just didn't meet eye to eye. So we.
I'm going to kill this dog. What?
We bought a house.
Wait, what?
And
We didn't see eye to eye. We bickered, so we didn't get married. So we bought a house. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing here? Impulse control issues, major problems with that type of behavior. The answer is to do this other crazy thing that we shouldn't be doing. If you're having a problem with James and their marriage and their YouTube channel is not making enough hits, let's do something drastic, because look at all of her solutions to her problems up to this point. Finds out her dad dies and didn't even know him, goes out and has sex with Chad. Okay? Gets grounded for a year, goes to church, discovers this thing, and that's like the new thing. That's a pretty drastic thing in people's lives, to go straight edge. Then forgets the straight edge when a dude writes her a note in a library. Doesn't even graduate yet and says, let's do it, let's have a baby. The baby is not a thing. It destroys them because it's a baby that has had issues and it's aborted, and that would demolish anybody. Then their answer to that is, let's do this again, even though we know it's a bad idea. We have not healed. Let's do it again. And then they were bickering, fighting, and called off their wedding. And then now their answer is to buy a house. Am I hearing this right?
we were about 7 days before we moved into the house. And something happened.
Bickering?
Something happened in regards to infidelity. And
she doesn't want to speak ill of Nikova's dad, but she just literally called out that he probably cheated on her.
that evening, I left. I took Kova's belongings, and I took everything that I needed to kind of get by. I took everything and I drove all the way to my parents' house. The next day, I told him, I said, absolutely, I can't go back. This is something that is not okay with me, and I don't want to go back. I'm okay with my decision, and I made that decision. So I went ahead and got an apartment. I got the smallest apartment. It was really hard for me. It was actually kind of mentally...
When she starts talking about her heart issues, she touches her hair. I wonder what this means.
challenging when I moved into that apartment, because I was about to move into this, really beautiful home that was just, it was jaw-droppingly gorgeous. And I was so excited for that. I bought so much furniture.
She had bought so much furniture. This is the girl who says she wants to marry a guy by reading books, right? I didn't get that wrong. Boughten is... It's not a word.
It was going to be shipped the day we moved in, and we bought decorations together. We had really planned everything out. And it was hard moving into this apartment. I don't even think it was 600 square feet. Maybe it was 700 square feet. It wasn't a very big apartment, and
who cares?
It was hard. And it was my first time sleeping alone at night. I remember how scary that was for me. So I ended up getting my NCLEX license for RN. I passed the test, and I went ahead and got 3 nursing jobs, because here I am, a single mom, and I'm 25 years old.
Add this to the list, everybody. Okay, I am a single mom, and so I'm going to go ahead and go get 3 jobs, so I never see my kid ever. Look at the decisions that are being made here that are more detrimental than the next, and more detrimental than the next. If you don't see that this is what happened with H, then you're crazy. And this video just unloads on it completely. It sheds so much light on her behavior and her narcissistic tendencies and the hurt that she suffered. Let's not diminish that either. That led her to make all these crazy decisions. And then the YouTube thing wasn't really, I think she had 5, I guess somebody said she had 2, I don't know what it is, 8,000 followers. And it wasn't working. So they went and did something drastic. Her answer to all of life's problems is to do something drastic.
Got an almost 1-year-old. She was 10 months at the time that I left, and I need to pay for her. He's no longer in the picture. So I went ahead and got 3 PR.
Yes, but he's responsible to pay you child whatever, right? I think.
And nursing jobs at local nursing homes, which I loved every one of these jobs.
No, you didn't. You told us in the interview that it wasn't your jam taking care of cancer patients. It wasn't your jam.
Loved taking care of those older folks. I felt like I was visiting my grandparents every day. So it was...
She's a liar.
Really rewarding, and I always wanted to have I had more than one job to make sure that if I ever lost one, that I always had a backup, since I'm supporting a little girl and I want to make sure that I can always provide for her. So it was a really hard time. There were some fun parts about being a single mom, just because I was so liberated from, you know, some of the junk that I had and some of the, like, the conflict that we had in our lives. I was liberated from that. So, like, there were some times where I was like a little sleepover with me and my girl, and we had a fun time. And then there was times when it was really hard. Like, I remember towards winter, I was holding Nikova, and I was on the second story of an apartment. And I was holding Nikova, and I was carrying her up the stairs, and I was holding 3 grocery bags. And I remember the grocery bags broke, and all of the milk and all the food spilled out all over down the stairs. And I just remember crying. I was like, there was times where it was hard.
That all the groceries you hadn't spilled. That was your hard story? That your groceries fell out of the bag? Look, I don't want to diminish single moms who probably compounds the issues, yes. But if that was your biggest problem, you're doing okay.
It was really challenging. And I only had to be a single mom to 1 kiddo. So any other...
Kiddo. There's something about the way she says these things. There's so much weird psychology behind this type of person. I don't know anybody like this in my real life. And that's why this is so interesting to me too, on top of understanding her psychology and what she says and her body language and her speaking and all the things that she contradicts herself with. Kiddo is one of the biggest ones that bothers me. I've never called my kids kiddo. I call them assholes sometimes, but never kiddo.
Moms out there that have experienced or are single parents to 1 child or even more than 1 child, I look up to you. It's hard. It can be really challenging.
Her voice has changed, by the way, here.
I definitely experienced a lot of that. But
oh, it's coming back.
It brought us stronger, and it kind of made me really reflect on, like, what did I need in my relationship? Like, what was I not getting? What did I need to contribute more to? What did I fail at in the relationship? Where was areas that I needed to improve? So I did a lot of self-reflection, because I wanted to make sure if I ever dove into another relationship, if I ever chose to get married, because for me that was really hard. I thought that I was going to marry him. I thought that we were good to go. Like, I literally believed everything about our relationship. I trusted him so much. I trusted him. And I felt a level of betrayal. And that was really hard. It was really hard. So I told myself, I don't know if I'm going to get married again. I think I've got my Kova. Just me and her for the rest of my life. I won't have any more kids. I mean, because I'm not going to get married. So it's just me and her.
Why did it matter if you're going to get married or not? Didn't matter before. Look at the contradictions to me are just mind-blowing. Stop saying stuff like that, because it just makes you look worse.
Well, rocket. Well, girl power.
Girl power.
That changed. Obviously,
Did it? Did it change?
Then I wanted to do, like, online dating. I didn't want to be
I'm not going to date or get married anymore. Then I went and did some online dating.
a serious relationship, and I was always with Kova, or I was always at work, so there was no time for me to, like, meet anybody. So I was like, I would love to just kind of get to have some, like, guy friends and maybe go on a couple dates here and there and just kind of chit chat and have fun. Not anything serious. I didn't want any commitments. So I ended up going on a couple dates and meeting some really cool people, and it was never one of those things where it was like, oh, I want to hook up with you. It was literally just more like a platonic relationship, really chill, and just kind of getting to explore other people and see what would be a good fit or what I feel like I would want to mesh with the most. And like I said, marriage wasn't even on my mind.
They were not vibes.
So I wasn't even really thinking about compatibility. I was honestly thinking about, like, I know what I want, but I don't think that I want it right now, because my heart still hurts. So I really just took a lot of time to focus on Kova, my job, and then every now and then I would go out to, like, dinner or lunch with a gentleman, and we just kind of, like, hang out, chit chat, like, get to know each other. And
that's not what he was trying to do. He was trying to get some. You were just trying to get free lunch.
See if it would work. Then that changed. That's when I met my current husband, and the game
That's when I met my current husband.
changed for me. I met him, and I was really excited when I met him. I thought he had the sweetest face, and we had so much in common.
I gotta say this. I can't believe I'm about to say this. James is a handsome dude. Like, without the bald head, he's got the hair. He's a good-looking guy. Let's not pretend you guys don't think he's a good-looking guy. Myka's a good-looking girl. James is a good-looking guy. Let's be real. He's a good-looking dude. That's all the kudos I'm gonna give this dude.
like, you know what? On his picture on the website, he had so many travel pictures. So like, he'd be kind of a fun guy to like go on a trip with, you know?
AKA, this sounds like a guy who's got some money. Am I the only one who thought that? Come on, you thought it too, don't lie.
Just kind of fun. We could maybe do a little trip together. So I was just kind of exploring different options. And I started talking to him on the phone. And to be honest, he was incredibly boring. He put me to sleep several times. He was really sweet. And we connected on a lot of levels. But there was a lot of times like he would just ramble for hours. And I was so bored. I would fall asleep on the end of the phone. And I was just like...
Well, anyways, how much money do you have? I love that. I'm terrible for saying that.
Huh. Yeah. That's nice. And so I had scheduled to have a date with him or like, you know, hang out and have dinner or something. And I had just done a double shift as an RN and I was beat. I was literally worn out and I called him and I said, hey, you know, I'm going to have to cancel. I'm tired. I don't think that this is probably a good idea. I don't have any energy. And I didn't think that I was going to reschedule this. Like, it was kind of my way of blowing him off. And he said to me, he's like, I'm really sorry, but I'm 10 minutes from your house. He's like, I can't turn around. Let's just go have lunch. If nothing comes of it, nothing comes of it. And I was like, you know what? I can respect that. He's been really nice to me. He's a really nice guy. I'm going to go ahead and do this. So we went ahead and we went out to dinner. And, well, actually, before we went out to dinner, I
thought they were doing lunch. I thought they were going for lunch.
So I opened the door, and he was standing there, and he had the biggest smile on his face, like the prettiest smile ever.
I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty.
More gorgeous than his pictures. Like, Jimmy's a really
Whoa.
He has a really...
Let's not go there. He's a good-looking dude. He's not ugly, but gorgeous like this. I don't think so. You don't come anywhere near that.
Good, like, physique, and he just was gorgeous. Like, immediately was, like, strongly attracted to him. I was like, I even surprised myself with how much I was attracted to him. And,
whoa, it's getting a little erotic in this. Are you guys hot? She's thinking about stuff.
So that kind of took me off guard. We went out to dinner, and we connected. It was instant chemistry. It was something that I hadn't felt ever. And
who's watching this kid on all these dates, by the way? Her mom? Probably.
It was amazing. So I wasn't quite sure. I was still being a little skeptical, unsure. That night he called his friend and he told his guy friend, he goes, I'm going to marry her. That's my future wife.
Creepy.
She's amazing and I love her.
You met this girl for 1 minute and had lunch or dinner or whatever it was, and you love her? Two people that make quick decisions, brash decisions. Perfect. Perfect recipe for narcissistic YouTube channels.
But sure, like it took me a couple dates to really settle in, and I started to fall for him really hard. Like we had a lot in common, and he was so patient and kind and gentle, and things that I had never gravitated towards. He was like a totally different personality, and I just loved everything. Like he was just so sweet and compassionate and kind, and just a lot of things that I really, really loved. And I think what sealed the deal for me with James is Kova. So he came over one day to my little tiny apartment with no furniture.
We get it. You lived in a tiny apartment. We all have lived in tiny apartments at some point in our life. Stop talking about it. Holy crap.
On the floor because, you know, me being in a single mom situation. So, I mean, anyways, there wasn't much to do at my apartment. But he wanted to come over and visit. So he would come over, he would drive, and he lived in Indiana and I lived in Ohio. So he would drive 2 hours to come visit me. And he would do it almost every other day, every weekend for sure.
The things we do to get the things we need. Just saying. I understand.
But every other day, every 3 days, we would just be visiting each other nonstop. And one day he came up and I was like, I don't know if I want you to come up because Kova's here. And I didn't want anybody to meet the Kova. I didn't want to just have...
You're saying the Kova or Nikova?
Or meet all of these guys and, you know, to confuse her. I didn't feel like that was healthy or appropriate. And so, anyways, Kova was in the bed and he was like, yeah, I'll just stop by for a couple hours and we can maybe have like a drink.
Is anybody like low-key understanding Hey, I'd rather you not come by and visit my daughter because of this. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and come by. You know, I want to cancel the date. You know what? We're going on the date. If a girl told me, hey, I'm going to cancel, I'm like, hey, no problem. I'll see you next time. She says, look, I don't want you to meet my daughter. It's really important to me. I'm not going to be like, well, no, I'm going to come up and meet your daughter. This sounds weird to me.
Chit chat and just hang out or have a snack. And I was like, okay, you know what? That works.
Of course.
So he came in. He hadn't even stepped in the door for a minute, and Kova starts crying really loud. I remember getting her out of the bed, and I was like, you have to leave. You cannot be here while she's here. And he said, please. He's like, I care for you so much. Please let me be here. Let me meet her. And so at that point, I said, okay.
We have to lose.
Okay. So I went ahead and grabbed Kova. And I'm not normally a pushover, but I'm trying to be more open.
We know.
And I said, okay. So I grabbed Kova and I sat her down, and she immediately went and grabbed a book and sat in his lap and said, you read me, please? It was so cute. She connected to him instantly. Instantly. She loved him. When we left that night, we ended up having a big pizza party. We went out for pizza, a late night pizza.
Come on, get to the story, please. Oh my gosh, so boring.
Then that evening, he was going to go leave, and I was going to go lay Kova down, and she went to grab her shoes and said, me go too, me go too. She wanted to go home with them, and I think we all fell for each other a lot right at that moment. It was a very, it was nice. It was like almost Kova was giving me her seal of approval too. So it was a really cool feeling. So there
she goes again, saying that a child who can't make any decisions is making these huge decisions. Kova gave me permission. Come on. She projects all of these decisions she needs to make for other people to make them for her. Don't miss it.
I've been dating for, I don't know, I think maybe 6 months, 5 months. Anyways, we were dating, I think it was 6 months, to be honest.
Who cares?
And
does it matter?
We had just bought a brand new house.
Of course you did.
I decided to move to Indianapolis. I landed a new job. It was a bigger, better job. It's going to pay a lot more money. It's at the hospital. I was going to be an oncology nurse, which I was really excited about. I was like, oh, this will be really challenging.
This has been debunked, by the way. She was never an oncology nurse.
Really challenging, and it can really help me grow, and I'm looking for this just position in general. So we went ahead and moved to Indianapolis. We had just moved into our new house, and I think we'd been there for 2 months, and I remember looking at each other.
I got a question for you, because I have only known one woman intimately. We didn't move into with each other until we were married. We were dated for years first. Is this a thing people do? Like, you're a single mom, you met this guy 6 months later, you buy a house and move in. Is this a thing? I'm not trying to shame anybody for doing that kind of stuff, but this is a thing, right? Like, this is, to me, that seems like such a crazy life move after all the other crazy life moves you made, that you're just going to be like, hey, it's been 6 months, let's do this whole life thing. That seems like a very crazy decision to make after your whole life has been upended 10 times by the same type of decisions that you've made up to this point.
One night, and we just looked at each other and we said, let's make a baby.
Oh my God.
We got pregnant.
I gotta say this, because I know so many people who have a hard time making babies. Okay? So many people. It's almost like, it's not like, I don't think she's rubbing it in people's faces, but the fact that she just says it like it's so easy to do something, and is this what you're doing? You're watching Netflix and you look at each other and be like, what, are you eating popcorn? Hey, let's make a baby. Like, who makes a decision like that? Who makes a decision like that? You've known each other for 6 months. No way you know somebody on that deep of a level after 6 months. I'm sorry.
That night was Jaka, and
where do you get these names?
Oh, we were so.
I feel like they're just shaking up a Scrabble board and be like, psh, there's your name. Jakarta, or whatever the heck the kid's name is.
We were so excited. I've never been that excited. We knew.
You have been that excited. You said you were excited about that as the first baby. She can't make a decision on what she's excited about anymore. It's literally it's always with her, and this is people with impulse control, because it's similar to me. It's always the best thing is next to what's after, and then everything before you kind of forget about it. She's so disingenuous about the way that she speaks about her kids specifically and her relationships.
We knew we were going to marry each other. Like, there was no doubt in our mind.
Yeah,
and
like the other guy.
I think it was a month later, he flew me to New York City and planned out the entire day. It was literally an amazing day. I remember every single detail. He planned out the entire day, and he got on one knee at Times Square, proposed to me with the most gorgeous ring and with the most gorgeous heart, and I couldn't help but say yes.
I wouldn't either. Look at the size of that rock. I'd be like, yeah, I'm not even gay, but let's do this. That rock, we're doing this thing. Let's make a baby.
So excited. So we were engaged for maybe a month, and we decided to go finalize our engagement at the courthouse. So we went ahead and got formally married like a month or two after we got engaged. We knew...
You didn't even have a wedding? Why? What are we missing here? What's going on? Who doesn't have a wedding? You love each other that much? You didn't have a wedding?
Wanted to be married, and we were like, we're already doing things so backwards. I would love to be formally married before Jacob gets, comes into this earth.
We're already doing everything wrong. Let's keep doing it wrong. Come on, guys.
I went over to my boss, and I wanted to let him know, hey, I am pregnant. I had only been working as an oncology nurse for a couple months, and
Why is she lying about this? I don't understand why this is important, that this is a narrative she wants to put across. Is an oncology nurse better than a different nurse or something? I don't know why the lie here.
I didn't qualify for FMLA. That's the first thing he told me. He said, if you are pregnant, you can only leave for 2 weeks. That's all that we can allot you. That's your vacation days. Hopefully you can earn enough vacation days to get your full 2 weeks by the time your baby is due. He said, I can give you 6 weeks. However, it's 6 weeks completely unpaid. So
the U.S. is crazy, and we've talked about this before in my other videos. Canada, you pop out a baby here. Like my wife has birthed 2 children. Built most amazing. You can see the videos of them being born. And we walk out with no bills. No, that's a lie. We got a private room. So we upgraded to a private room. It cost me $80, and it was worth every penny. But that's crazy. And then we get 12 months of parental leave, maternity leave that you're paid for. The U.S. is terrible for this. I'm sorry.
I was devastated. I remember going into the bathroom just tearing up and just being heartbroken.
Why are you you don't understand, right? She knows where she lives, that the rules are what. Why are you heartbroken about the realities of where you live? This stuff is just it's so fake.
And this job per se was a really challenging, incredibly challenging job. It was probably the hardest, saddest job that I've ever done in my entire life, and I didn't like it.
It was not her jam.
Didn't like it at all. It actually made me not like nursing. I saw...
But didn't she say right away before she moved out here that this is the one that she wanted, the job that she wanted? She's always about this is what I think I want to get into, and then they get into this new change, and then all of a sudden they don't like it anymore. What does that remind you of?
I worked in oncology, which is also cancer floor, and I saw so many people pass away from cancer at
Isn't that what that's for? Isn't that what kind of nurse you are?
Very young age. I saw people that were 16. They were holding my hands when they took their last breath. I saw people at 22, 24, 26, 30. I saw so many sad things. It was...
I saw, I felt, I held hands. We are never going to get around this. The fact that everything that happens bad to other people, or she puts it on herself as if she's the hero or she's the one that suffered the issues. These people died of cancer. Okay? It's not about you.
That job wasn't right for me. And I was okay with walking away from the job. So I immediately went home to James and I told him I can't just take off 2 weeks for maternity leave after I birthed my baby. And I was like, no way. And we stopped and we prayed about it, and he said, stay home with the kids. I know that's what you want to do. Just stay home with the kids. And I knew in my heart that's what I wanted to do. He knew how unhappy I was in my nursing position. Like, I would come home every day and I would cry. And I'm not an emotional person. I'm not the kind of person that I never cry.
I could show you 15 videos right now where you're crying. Why is she lying about this? Why is this a lie that she's making? What is she projecting here? What is the psychology behind lying about not crying?
Never sad. And my disposition was starting to be affected. I wasn't as cheery, as positive, motivating, and uplifting. I started to get just down. I wasn't happy there. Every time I walked in, I would see the hospice nurses coming in. Or
every time I walked in, it was vibes. I
just saw bad thing after bad thing after bad thing. I didn't get to see anything good. I didn't get to see the good. Yeah.
Stop saying get a C. Oh my gosh. Get to see, please. Read a book.
Every now and then I got some patients that were really happy and proud of my positive care, and they were really gracious, and they were so grateful for me to be there for them. And those were amazing, but I didn't get to see a lot of like recovery stories. And that's what I had hoped when I went to oncology. Like, we can do a lot of...
So she got into the, okay, oh my gosh, hear this. That's why I got into this, because I was hoping to hear recovery stories. I was hoping this was going to be this fairy tale movie like career where I'm the reason people were cured of cancer, and my positive care was the reason that they recovered. And I was hoping when I adopted this kid that I was going to be white savior.
Covering, and it'll be kind of nice. Like, yeah, there'll be some sad parts, but it should be some recoveries as well. And I never saw a recovery story, maybe because our floor was a little bit more severe staging of oncology, but it was just really mentally hard for me. And that's when, and yes, I still have an active RN license, but that was
Nope.
the day that I told Jim I'm done being a nurse. Like,
Why did she lie about that too? What a weird thing to lie about. Why?
he said that I can be a stay-at-home mom, and I told him I'm done being a nurse for good. Like, I'm okay with setting down my degree and moving on. Like,
You're okay. I know, because there's a lot of stay-at-home. I don't want to bash stay-at-home moms. If I could afford for my wife to stay at home forever, I absolutely would let her do it, and because I think staying home with your kids is important. But I'm okay with never working again. Of course you are.
something different. Like, yes, I worked really hard to ascertain it, but I'm okay. Like, I feel like I'm being called to do something a little different. And that's exactly what happened. I started to get to stay home with the kids, spend more time with the kids, and my personality changed in a matter of days. I was a different person. My personality, I was so happy. I remember... I
could sleep in every day. It was nice. I would be totally pumped if I could stay home.
I couldn't quit smiling. And I would thank him every day. Like, thank you so much. And we started planning our home birth. This is my very first
Oh
home
my
birth,
gosh.
and I was so excited. My pregnancy was going good. I didn't have any high-risk symptoms. I was growing big and proud, and I was loving every minute of it. Towards the end of our pregnancy was when we decided to start YouTube. We started it on our daily vlog channel, and I filmed like a couple pregnancy updates of Jacob, which those videos are horrendous. They're just so bad.
They're all horrendous. Even this one is.
But we ended up, that's when we started vlogging and started doing a couple pregnancy updates here and there. And then I think it was a month or two later, Jacob was born, and it was an amazing birth. It was amazing. She was such a good kid. She was such an easy baby compared to Kova. But yeah, and that's pretty much where my story kind of ends. Everything.
Why does your story end there?
Everything about my life has been documented on our daily vlog channel since the day Jacob was born. So if you guys ever want to catch up on any of the old things about myself, you're welcome to visit our daily vlog channel and follow us. We would love to have you as a subscriber or to watch us on our daily journey, because we document our lives daily.
Yeah, you do. And this is why I'm talking about it right now. It's so crazy to think about how far we've come in this topic, and the people that it's affected, and the people that are fighting against it, and the people that have supported them up to this moment. She tells the story and she says, we're so successful up to here. I'm going to tell you this whole story. And then I'm not sure if this story happened before H or after, but she didn't mention him at all.
But that is my story, and I'm so grateful for every single person and every single person that's helped build and develop me to be the person that I am today. I'm just so gracious. I mean,
I'd like to thank the Academy.
I've had some hardships, and I've had some amazing times.
Her groceries fell.
And everything has developed me and built me into the person that I am today, and I'm just so gracious. I'm so gracious for Kova. I'm so gracious for every single point of my life. Every single day of our lives. We might be missing a few here and there, but recorded on our daily vlog channel. So I'll leave a link in the description box below if you guys want to go over there, subscribe, and follow our family.
Okay, we're done with that. Whew, sorry, it's the longest vlog I've ever done. Yeah, like there's a lot to dissect there, and I kind of sat there with you and did it, but it screams to me. I now understand way more about what's going on with this crazy lady, the hard decision making that she's made, and the bad choices that she's made. I wouldn't even say bad. Bad is probably a wrong word, but like massive crazy decisions based on assumptions or based on. It's just like, so that didn't work, so let's go try something even more crazy. It's like people who have bad marriages and they think having a kid or adopting a dog or whatever will fix it. When the issues are not being touched, it's this person that has this void to fill, and they fill it with a bad decision, right? They fill it with something that probably wasn't right. And so getting married after 6 months and like, let's looking at each other, let's have a baby. Like that happened twice in her life. It's just like, and one before she was even finished school. Now, these are life choices a lot of people make. I'm not trying to bash these kind of life choices, but what it shows this pattern of narcissism and how this got built about bad decisions. And I know a lot about bad decisions. I grew up in a broken home. And my sister, I adopted my sister's kids. I know tons about bad decisions. I've made lots of bad decisions in my life. I know what impulse control and having no impulse control can do for your life. So I kind of like, maybe this is hitting me hard because I'm kind of projecting some of the same. I made some of those bad decisions, not having babies and whatever, but I did make some crazy decisions because I thought they would help me, and they were always bad decisions. Not always, and some of them were stupid decisions. Some of them were like, I'm going to start this business, and I do that. I'm like, well, here's the next thing I'm going to do, and here's the next YouTube thing I'm going to do, or here's the next whatever. And I'm like, and sometimes, and most of the time they fail, and sometimes they do take. And if I've practiced and built but what I have found is those things that the things that I'm most good at, that I've practiced and owned those skills, are the things that have made me successful to where I am now. And those bad choices I made, they'll fall to the side. But she seems to have made these life-altering bad decisions that led to her. And then she thought that, well, leading to this moment, this is all fate. But this life-altering decision she made affected another life, right? It affected H's life on a huge level. Because they needed to step it up or make this decision, all these decisions, like if you can't see that, there's something, you're missing something, is that they said, well, let's just do this. I'm doing this because no one can tell her not to do what she wants to do. And the things that she expects, even when people tell her, you shouldn't expect that. It's probably wrong to expect that. Like the doctor's telling her, it's probably going to be really way worse than you think. I don't care what they say. I'm doing this because these are decisions I want to make. She's so narcissistic. It's all about her. I. When I was taking care of cancer patients, I thought it was going to be this way. And I had to hold hands. And I. And I know I've talked about that a lot. But this was a very, very eye-opening video. I did not think I was going to come to her side for a few things. And, it was very eye-opening. It was sad about her childhood and about her dad. That was really sad. But I feel like a lot of that came back to that moment where her mom kind of failed her. You guys seen that? Not saying it's all... So basically what I'm saying is I don't really think that this whole thing is all Myka's fault. If you go back to the way that we were raised, and some of the bad decisions I made, and if you're raised in abuse, and if you're raised in broken homes, those kids end up, if you think about how many kids are adopted and fostered and who grow up in broken homes, I think they're like 7 out of 10 of those types of kids, and those kids who grow up in those things perpetuate that poverty or perpetuate that lifestyle. And so that says a lot about how we're raised and how we raise our kids. And this is a narrative to say, raise your kids right. Be there for them. Help them make good choices and be a good example. This was, of all the videos I've done about this thing, and lately I've kind of obviously dropped off about this thing, this one has like been the most eye-opening about this whole situation and has really shed a lot of light on who she is as a person. And we're not done with this. I'm not saying I forgive her, and it's, again, not my place to forgive her, but I still feel like she's been off YouTube for months now, and she did that Instagram apology to feel out whether or not she's coming back, and I know she's going to come back, but we just got to, and I think people are seeing this kind of die off, and I mean, I get it, because you can only talk about something for so long before it becomes like, okay, it's not talking about it. And you guys have, a lot of my haters, like that chick from the YouTube Mama Drama, they're just like, oh, you're just making money off this. But a lot of this now is me learning and understanding about people's behaviors, and I'm projecting into my own behaviors and things that I've done. So thanks for watching. I mean, this was crazy journey at this point. So I think I have some other things I want to talk about. And I have some guests coming on where some girl named Stephanie wrote an open letter to Myka, and it was a really, really great letter. And I want you guys, so we're going to talk about that. I've got a couple of collaborations in the works where we're going to talk about this and some things like that. And I want to get into the cancer scares and all that other thing that she had going. So there's lots to talk about still. So we keep this in the forefront of social media culture, right? And of YouTube drama culture, I guess, if you want to call it that. So like, subscribe, hit the little bell or whatever, or don't, I don't care. Yeah, I'll see you next time. You guys are my jam.